Hello everyone from Chelsea Fan TV. I hope we're all doing very well. Welcome to the evening show where we go through all of the latest regarding Chelsea Football Club. There is a fire sale coming at Chelsea, and it is not players coming in, it's players going out. Plenty of players looking like they're on their way out. We've spoken about this many times anyway, but today we're going to be going through who those players are, why are they getting sold, and is this something that Chelsea want, or is this something that the player wants? Can we get the right value for them, etc., etc.? Big up to everyone that's watching. Smash the like button if you haven't already, and subscribe to the channel. Now, without further ado, let's get straight into it. It's a nice Sunday evening. We can all relax and see what's going on. I heard as well earlier on, because France are playing, if I'm not wrong, that Olivier Giroud has been playing well. I think he's just scored for France. I got a notification about it. Maybe it's not even true, but yeah, let me know about that. Interesting things going on at the moment, guys. Plenty to go through. Earlier on, we were speaking about our midfield and what the future of our midfield is going to be looking like. This isn't necessarily about players that are coming in. This is about players that are going. So, we are going to look at who Lawrence Stewart and Paul Winstanley are going to be looking to get out of the club, and we're gonna hone in on those. Now, this 10-man fire sale was originally came out earlier on today via the Mirror. And for those of you who don't know, the Mirror is a newspaper in England. And the title is Enzo Maresca is tackling a Chelsea issue as the sporting directors plot a 10-man fire sale. Now, it says Chelsea are currently on course to achieve two key objectives under Enzo Maresca, but the Italian is still yet to fully win over supporters at Stamford Bridge. And then it goes on to talk about the fact that we need to secure Champions League football and qualification into the UEFA Conference League. Well, not qualification, sorry. We need to win the Conference League. If he does both those things, it's a success. But there are still things that need to be solved. Now, Jody Morris posted on X during the defeat to Arsenal. What an awful game of football this has been. We have been dominated twice by Copenhagen and today by a bang average Arsenal side. Where the fuck is the transfer stuff? They're just waffling. Yes. Okay. Here we go. So they say there can be no doubt the Clear Lake Capital's excessive spending has proven hindering, and it would be unfair to pass judgment on Maresca until he has had a world-class goalkeeper, a central defender, and a striker at his disposal. Paul Winstanley and Lawrence Stewart, the sporting directors, will be tasked with overseeing an end-of-season fire sale to help fund the arrivals of those key marquee additions. Now, the players that we are looking at in this fire sale, according to the source that I just mentioned earlier. I'm going to share my screen with you now. There we go. It is these players right here. We've got Raheem Sterling, Ben Chilwell, Joao Felix, Christopher Nkunku, Axel Disasi, Kepa Arrizabalaga, Armando Broja, Carney Chukwuemeka, Renato Vega, David Datro Fofana, Kieran Dewsbury Hall, and Benoit Badiashile. So those are the players. The 10-man fire sale that we're looking to get rid of. So there you go. Big up to Raniel. I hope you're doing very well. Raniel says, where will Sterling go next season? Who's going to buy it? We'll talk about it, mate. We'll get into it. Big up to you, Jordan. I hope you're doing well. Big up to Martin. He says, how much do you think Sterling would be priced at realistically? God, it's a great question. That's a really good question. We paid about 50 million for him, didn't we? 40, 50 million. which is a total rip-off when you consider what we got for that. And you have to take his wages into consideration as well. You got a guy on 325 grand a week. I think that's certainly a big factor with what teams are willing to pay, because teams might be willing to pay more than you'd expect, but then would they match the fee, which is clearly going to be inflated, whatever we're asking for? Sterling's not going to be worth that, just like Nkunku wasn't worth 70 million when Bayern Munich were looking at him and PSG. It's hard to really justify him being worth more than 15 million, to be totally honest with you. The guy is totally washed. But again, there's only so much my opinion. 50 million. Oh God, Martin, where do you get that number from? Nobody's paying that. If we get 50 million, I'll do the naked mile down Stamford Bridge. Honestly, I will do the naked mile down Fulham Road. Nobody is paying 50 million. Jesus, absolutely no. Sterling is honestly just a really poor footballer. So I can't justify a team willing to spend more than 20 million. I can't justify it. But again, we've got to look at what Raheem Sterling has done, and we'll go through this in lots of detail. Okay, because I know we like the details, guys. We like the details. So I will give you those details. So we're going to start off with Sterling. All right. So let's first of all have a look at his what's it been like at Chelsea so far. Let's see what Raheem's done at Chelsea. What's he done? What's he done at Arsenal this season as well? What are we going to get for this guy? So let's have a look. So I'm going to share my screen with you now with my good old faithful, love a bit of transfer market. They give me good stuff on there. Right. This is in the Premier League so far this season. Obviously, none of these games are for Chelsea. 12 appearances for Arsenal, 0 goals, 1 assist, 1 yellow card, no red cards. He's been in the starting 11 15% of the time. He's been involved in 13% of the minutes available, and 2% of the goals that Arsenal have scored have been with Sterling involved. Champions League, 6 games, 2 GA in total, 3 yellow cards, starting 30% of the time. FA Cup, no goals, no assists. He's played 67% of the minutes. That was only 1 game. And in the EFL Cup, the Carabao Cup, he's played 4, he's scored 1, he's had an assist, and he started 60%. So I think we can all agree, for a player on 325 grand a week, this is underwhelming. These numbers are not particularly great. And you can see, I literally said it earlier, didn't I? I said, I don't think that any club will pay more than 20 million for this guy. So I think 15 million, and this is euros, not pounds. This is euros. That's like 12 million quid. Yeah, I honestly think that'd be a fair deal. If someone offered us 10 million, 15 million, 10 million is a little bit of a low ball, but 15 million is a fair deal. He's not worth much more than that. What does Sterling have to offer that? And we can see the guy has been declining for years. I mean, even if you look at City, he was declining there. His market value was going down and down and down, and then Chelsea got him. And you thought, oh, maybe we're going to have this wave effect and it's going to come back up. Obviously not. The trend had already started in 2020. And then, long behold, 2022, 2 years down the line, he'd already lost 30 million in value, over 30 million, 40 million in value, if we're looking at euros. Yeah, no surprise whatsoever. And now he's worth 15 million, and he's 30 years old on a high wage. You don't have potential. You don't have financial security for the club, because you are basically gambling on one player and sacrificing a large part of your wage budget on that player. And you're not going to get numbers. The guy doesn't even get numbers anymore. So no surprise that Chelsea are looking to sell this player. My prediction with Sterling is very simple. I think that, God honest truth, he'll probably end up going on loan again. I don't think anyone's buying him. People are saying that he'll go to Saudi, but I don't even know why a Saudi club would want to. Like, will a Saudi club cough up 325 grand? Like, I know they have money, but Saudis, do you not realize the Saudis want hot property? Because they want players that will encourage fans like us from other countries to then tune into the Saudi Pro League via DAZN. I think that's what they show everything on. Sterling's not a player who attracts eyeballs anymore. He's a player that you look at and you turn your TV off, you change the channel, you look away. You do something else. You go down for a pint, even though there's 60 minutes left. Fuck that, I'm not watching Sterling. I don't want to watch that guy. So I think we can all agree that this guy is going to be very difficult to offload. Is it possible to do it? Absolutely. But I don't see it. I don't see how anyone's going to cough up 325 grand and pay us a fee as well. Even on a free transfer, I still wouldn't want to pay 325 grand for a player. So yeah, that's my thought on that. So yeah, I'm going to go with £10 million as the valuation that I put on Sterling if I'm looking to get rid of the player. And I would be willing to accept sort of anything around the £8 million range. But I mean, if I was putting a price up and I was Chelsea, I'd ask for 20 million. But I know I'm not going to get it. I'll get 15 max. And honestly, I'll probably get 10 if I'm desperate to sell and I'm going to accept a deal. So that's what I can see happening. Jay says 20 mil. That's fair. Thinks Sterling's going to go to Al Nassr. That's fair enough. Yeah, I can't see where 50 million is coming from. I mean, I respect the fact that we want the money, but I just don't think it's going to happen. A man says that he thinks we'd be lucky if we can sell 45 out of 10. What? You mean 4 out of 10? Let's just say that. 12 games for Arsenal, and he's having a lot of injuries and coming back to Chelsea's injury prone and 320k. That's ridiculous. Get rid of him to rise the profit. He's 30 years old, Daniel, and he has 2 years left on his contract. 2 years left because it's a 5-year deal, and he signed for us 3 years ago. Yeah, there you go. So can we not all agree that Sterling needs to go? Give me the thumbs up on that and confirm with me you're happy with the number as well. We're going 15 million, we'd accept. 10 million, look, we're not happy with it, but we'd still accept it. 20 million is what we'd love, but we know we're not going to get that. So that's Raheem Sterling. That's the first player on the list. The second player on the list that we have is a player who used to be a fan favourite, but he's not involved with Chelsea anymore. That's Ben Chilwell. And look, he's a player who was barely featured for Enzo Maresca this season. He's had very limited minutes. And, oh, yeah, with the thumbnail, by the way, I have no idea why Nkunku's wearing the Crystal Palace shirt. I did message my thumbnail guy, so he's actually doing that. He's doing that as we speak. Nkunku's not going to Crystal Palace. I'm not trying to mislead you with the thumbnail. When I write the thumbnails that I want, I usually put the teams in brackets. And I put Nkunku next to Chilwell, and I just presume that the thumbnail, my thumbnail guy would know that Nkunku doesn't play for Palace, but he thought that both of them were Crystal Palace. I think he thought, actually, no, sorry. He said to me that he thought Nkunku was going to have a transfer to Crystal Palace, which is quite funny. So, yeah, Nkunku's not going there. And that thumbnail is getting changed, so don't worry. So yeah, let's look at Ben Chilwell now. We look at Chilwell and we say, okay, what have you done this season, my friend, in the Premier League? Not a lot going on. He's played 3 games and he hasn't started any of those games, but he's played 14% of the minutes that are available to play. In the FA Cup, two appearances. I think one of them was for Chelsea, if I'm not wrong. I know that actually maybe the Carabao Cup one was an appearance for Chelsea. I can't even remember. I'm not sure. It was one of them. So the guys had no action this season. Basically zero action. Now, what do I think about Chilwell? I think he's a good player. And I think, to be honest with you, he's been totally mistreated by the club. But again, there's a trend here. You cannot ignore the trend. This was before Maresca come in, a lot of this stuff. He was going downhill. And it's not, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, the guy's crap. I'm not going to say that. But look, Chilwell had a good period at Chelsea. He was decent under Thomas Tuchel. And then as soon as that injury kicked in, he's had a number of bad injuries. It's got worse and worse. And now he's worth 18 million euros, so about 15 million quid. Again, another hard player to offload. And the wages doesn't make it easy at all. The wages makes it very, very difficult for any club to look at what Chelsea have and go, oh, yeah, I like that. When you look at our defenders and the wages, Ben Chilwell's our second highest earner, joint with Wesley Fofana, and he's only behind Reece James, who's on $250,000 a week. So this is what you see with Ben Chilwell's wages. You want 200 grand a week. His contract expires in 2027. I can see that there's clearly an urgency from the club to get rid of this player. And by the way, like when he was given that 200 grand contract, I don't think many people really cared because this is a player that performs so well. What the hell has happened there? This is a player that performs so well under Tuchel. And we always knew he was one of our better wing backs. You know, having him and Alonso in the same team was amazing at one point because you had so much depth in that one position. And he had Reece James on the other side, so much quality. But we can't look at Chilwell and say the same thing anymore. He's been regressing for quite some time. He wasn't great last season, and he's not been involved at all this season. So I believe that this is a decision, by the way, that's been made above Maresca's head. I've spoken to people who have told me that as well. And quite frankly, I don't think he suits what Maresca is doing anyway. So it's kind of irrelevant in that sense. So, yeah, when we look at Ben Chilwell, again, we think that we can get maybe 15 to 10 million for Sterling realistically. He's on 325 grand a week. Ben Chilwell's on 200 grand, but he's constantly injured. At least Sterling's more available than Ben Chilwell ever was. That's one thing that Sterling has. I do think that Chilwell's going to be a difficult one to move on, but again, I'm probably looking. I mean, it says his market value is 18 million euros. Can you believe that? That's actually too high, in my opinion. I don't think he's worth that much. He's 28 years old. So he's not super, he's not super young. He's not super old. He's still at a good age where you can get something out of the player. I would honestly say, again, £15 million for Ben Chilwell is a good deal for Chelsea. And that is also providing that Ben Chilwell takes a pay cut because no one is paying him 200 grand a week. If he goes to Crystal Palace, he's not paying 200 grand a week. I'm sure that Palace are probably paying about 50% of his wage at the moment. Chelsea are paying the other 100 grand. Now, a lot of people laugh at us for that, but then you have to look at it from the perspective of, well, you did the same thing with Sterling. You're doing it with Chilwell. That's 200 grand a week there saved. So although we're still contributing to these wages, which obviously our owners never even signed up for, they inherited them, those contracts. I appreciate the fact that even if you're getting a part of that wage off the books, it's still in the club's interest financially. So yeah, we're going to go £15 million for Ben Chilwell, but I think again a very difficult player to move on. If he's looking to stay in England, this will be difficult, but I do think Premier League clubs will be interested. I don't think he'll want to go abroad. I think he'll want to stay in England, but again, I could be wrong. So we'll see what happens there. So right now I've got 10 to 15 million for Sterling, around the same for Chilwell, but I'd probably push more for 15 mil because he's younger and he's on a smaller wage. Then we look on the magical 10 plot, the 10-man fire sale list, and you see Joao Felix. Now, Joao Felix is a player who divides opinion. Some people really like him. Some people are not fans whatsoever of what they're seeing. Me personally, I think he's a good player, but I don't think he's a great player, and I don't think he ever will be. Joao Felix, to me, is a player that good teams have in their squad when their better players get injured and he can fill in. You know you can't count on Joao Felix for the whole season. But every now and again, he'll give you that moment of magic. And that's what we want. We want a player who can make things happen when Palmer's out. We don't have that now because for some strange reason, we put him out on loan to AC Milan, where he's actually performing very poorly. His stats are quite ridiculous, in all fairness. Like you'd expect a lot more from a player of that quality. This is what it's looking like at Milan at the moment. He's played 7 games. He's had 1 assist, no goals. He's got 1 yellow card. He's played in 57% of the minutes that are available. Started 57% of the time. And he's played 67% of minutes available, been involved in 9% of the goals. Champions League, started all of the games, 0 GA. Coppa Italia, came off the bench, scored a goal. Premier League, very minimal minutes. Never really started in those games. I think one of those starts was against Leicester, another one against Southampton, and another one against Ipswich. If I'm not wrong, those are probably the only starts that he had for us. Let me know if I've missed one out as well. So, yeah, not looking great in that front. And then the Conference League, obviously, was stacking up against poor opposition. So you don't really say much. And again, same in the FA Cup, similar in the Carabao Cup. I think the FA Cup, the 2 goals were against Barrow, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, there's not really, you can't say much from that. So overall, Joao Felix has been relatively disappointing. But again, you can see there's a player in there. It's not that he does nothing. It's just he doesn't do enough. He doesn't do enough to justify his price tag. He doesn't do enough to make people look at him and go, you know what, I like this guy. And that's one of the issues that managers have had in previous years with Joao Felix. You look at what he's done, and Conference League again. What's that? Scored 2 against Panathinaikos, 2 against Noah. But what happens when you play against the big boys? What happens then? Premier League. This is how much Enzo Maresca trusts Joao Felix. The guy doesn't trust him. He had his first start against Leicester, and then he played against Southampton. On the bench. Started against Ipswich. Yes, those are the only games he's been involved in. It's clearly not trusted. Now, how much did we pay for this player as well? It's always important to look at that. I mean, we paid a lot less than Atletico Madrid did, but almost still feels like we're being ripped off because looking at the player now, I think, there's certainly an argument to be had about whether he's worth much money at all. When we look at his market value, we're looking at about 30 million euros at the moment, if I'm not wrong. I'm just going to double check that for you. Yeah, 30 million euros. That's what we're looking at right now. And again, another player where his value is decreasing. It's going down. This is not a player that is having an uptrend. He's having a downward trend. And he took a pay cut to come to Chelsea. And he's still fucked off with this club. And quite frankly, I think this club's fucked off with him in a way, because if you had a good mentality, you wouldn't have accepted the loan move to Milan. That's my personal opinion on it. Because then he kisses the badge and he goes, I want to play for Chelsea for the rest of my life. Does the same thing when he goes to Italy. I've been dreaming of playing for AC Milan. What? Is this Romelu Lukaku in disguise? Is this the new Lukaku we're looking at? who loves every single club he goes to, but then actually never really becomes a legend anywhere because he gets passed around all the time. No loyalty in football, guys. And that's the question. Who's going to buy this guy? Who's going to buy Joao Felix? I'll tell you one thing. AC Milan are not going to buy him because he's been so disappointed. He's been ripped to shreds by the Italian media. And listen, part of you says, well, you know, have a bit of mercy on the guy. He needs to settle in. He doesn't let himself settle in because his ego's too big. He's already causing problems at Chelsea in terms of the fact that he's gone on this move. As I said, if he was a stable player, he wouldn't have gone to AC Milan. Again, let's look at his value decreasing over time. Atletico Madrid signed him when he was absolutely at his peak. They paid over 100 million for him anyway. They got totally ripped off. Totally ripped off. But again, he declined. He got worse and worse and worse. He's 25 years old. Have you seen in the last 6 years any form of progression from Joao Felix to tell you that by the time he's 30, this trend won't be any different? And I honestly think that the answer is just no. You know, you can see the trend. You don't need me to tell you. I'm showing you. And look, these websites that I use, whether it's Transfer Market or SofaScore, it's not everything, but it's a good indication of what's going on. And if we are seeing downward trends with Sterling, and we're also seeing downward trends with Ben Chilwell, like we all watch Chelsea, we know that those players have been going down. They've been getting worse, less valuable. They're not adding as much to Chelsea. Does it not make you actually think, well, this is a trend that we've got with quite a few of our players, which is why we've got this fire sale going on. But it then brings you back to the fact of, why did we even think to bring in these players if in such a short space of time you need to offload them? And not all of those players are culprits of that, because, you know, some of them are Abramovich signings. But you see what I'm saying? So, God honest truth, how much did Chelsea pay for? Oh, for fuck's sake. How much? Oh, Jesus Christ. I can't find how much we paid for it. It's about 40 odd million. It's a £5 million loan fee, which is not a bad thing. I think that's an okay loan fee. I mean, bear in mind, when we actually took the loan fee the first time with Joao Felix, we paid 10 million. So we're clawing back half of that. £44.5 million. And we can't even get 40 million pounds as a market value. This is 30 million euros. Oh my God. What a ripoff. So I think, honestly, 30 million is a good amount. I'm not even going to debate that. I would say pounds again. You'd be looking for 30 million pounds if you can offload Joao Felix. Nobody's paying 44 million. Nobody's doing that. And I actually think this is a great suggestion, sending Felix to Turkey. Like, Galatasaray would eat him up. They love these types of players. They're all over it. They've got Morata, they've got Icardi. Like, players that just can't seem to settle anywhere, and they end up having a good time at Galatasaray. So I actually agree with that. I think that's a great... Or maybe Mourinho as well could go to Fenerbahce. Again, the player's got to want to go, though. He's got to want to do it. And I don't know if Mourinho would like Joao Felix, because he's such an unreliable player. You want someone that you can count on. Like, I thought that Sir Maximin was going to do really well at Fenerbahce, but he hasn't performed whatsoever because he doesn't train well. So You got to have players that are willing to give you something as well and work hard. Who else have we got, guys, in this list? So as it stands, we got Sterling on 325 grand a week. Ben Chilwell on 200 grand a week. If we look towards Joao Felix, let's have a look. What's he on? 175? 170 grand a week. Joao Felix is on right now. So this is all money that can be saved if we get rid of these players. And we obviously put the transfer fee into that as well. So let's just presume we do get rid of them. As it stands, we'd have over 600 grand in wages saved. And then you get fees. Let's just be conservative and say we're going to get 25 million for Sterling and Chilwell combined, and then another 30 million for Joao Felix. You're looking at 55 million selling all of those players. And you're hoping that they all take pay cuts as well, because none of them are worth the money that they're being paid. You're hoping. So we move on to Christopher Nkunku. He is the next player, a player that I'm quite sad for, in the sense that I really think he could have been great for us. But the management of Nkunku from Maresca, I think, has been so poor. And if it wasn't for the poor management from the manager, also the club as well, basically saying publicly, you can go. We don't want you. We're going to accept a bid for you. Like that doesn't help anyone. So I think the club, they played their cards wrong in that sense, because Nkunku is one of the best players in his position in world football when he was playing in Germany. Why people say this guy's a bum? Well, after one season, he's a bum. Like, he had an injury problem, but every time he played under Poch, generally he was actually quite good. He scored goals. And now for some reason, he's not a good player. I don't believe that. He's 27 years old. He's at the peak of his career. But this is a player we're not going to struggle to get rid of. The question with Nkunku is, can we get the money that we want for this player? In the Premier League this season, 25 appearances, a lot of them off the bench. You can see he's only played he's only started 28% of the games, and he's only played 33% of the minutes available. In those 23 appearances, 3 goals and 2 assists, 2 yellow cards. In the Conference League, he's been on fire, as you can see, in terms of GA. I don't know why they've got 2 Conference League things there. Oh, okay. So you've got the qualifiers there. 100% GA in that respect. 2 games, 2 goals, and over 100% GA in the other Conference League matches, with 7 appearances, 8 GA in total. In the FA Cup, 2 appearances, 1 goal. Carabao Cup, 2 appearances, 3 goals. So you tell me if this player's washed, because I don't see it. I don't see it personally. I think this is a good player. We've just totally mismanaged him. How are we doing, Charlie?
Hello, mate. Yeah, all good, all good. What's happening?
We are going through the fire sale, mate. The players that are going to be offloaded by the directors. So, yeah. Well, we've spoken about, who have I spoken about so far? We've spoken about Sterling. We've spoken about Ben Chilwell, Joao Felix. We're on Nkunku now.
Yeah, well, he's done here. Simple as that. The writing's been on a wall pretty much all season. It just depends how much money we're gonna get for him. That's all it comes down to, really. That Bayern were interested in January. Whether that interest is still there, I don't know. But look, he wants to get in the France squad for the World Cup. He wasn't called up for France for this current break. And he needs to be playing minutes, and he needs to be playing well. And those 2 things, whilst he's getting more minutes now because of the injuries, he's not playing well. And that's down to a number of things. It can be down to his position, can be down to perhaps how he's managed it. And it can also be mainly down to the effort that he's putting on the football pitch. Even if you're played out of position on the pitch, as a player, bare minimum, you put 100% effort in. And at least visually, I don't get the impression that he is. Now, I could be wrong, but watching him on the pitch recently, I don't get the feeling that the guy's putting 100% effort in every time he puts the shirt on.
I agree with you, mate. He's not put 100% in. But can we agree that that is something that we've really noticed from I would say January. Ever since January, it's become evident.
We should have let him go in January. If I'm being totally honest, like, I mean, I'm not a massive fan of Felix either, but I actually think it probably would have been better for us to offload Nkunku in January than Felix. But obviously, we set that unrealistic asking price, and well, certainly if he carries on how he is for the remainder of the season, all that's happening to that asking price is it's going down and down and down.
Yeah, no, I agree. It is going to go down. I mean, he's barely played any minutes in the Prem, but I was just saying before you came on, yeah, you can see his J in the Conference League. I don't think even in the FA Cup, like he's scoring a lot of fucking goals, man, when he's playing and when he's starting. I know these teams aren't the best teams,
You'd
but
expect him to score against that level of opposition, though.
I don't actually think, like, looking at Jackson, for example, I don't think Jackson scores that many goals in those games. I don't see it. I think Nkunku is by far the best finisher in our squad, and he's been totally underutilized. I really do. And I blame that on the manager. I really do.
It's tricky though, isn't it? Because he's not a 9 by Maresca's own admission. We've seen him as a 9 multiple times this season. It's been dreadful.
But the only thing that you can say, Charlie, is when he's a 9, he does score. And that's the one thing that you've got to give him.
Yeah, I take that point on board that he has scored goals playing as a 9. Not being funny, though, me and you could probably score against Noah, against these teams that he's scoring against. So look, whilst you still have to put the ball in the back of the net, we've got to be honest here. This is a £52 million player, France international, top quality footballer. Like, if we're trying to prop him up because he scored goals against poor teams in the FA Cup and the Conference League, we're struggling a bit there, aren't we? It's not looking particularly good for him. You've spoken about Nkunku before, but for me, it's just a combination of factors. The injuries didn't help him. That first injury in the pre-season under Poch, that didn't help him. That set him back. Then obviously when he come back into the team, he scored in his debut and he scored a few goals from the bench over the second half of the season. But that first season was very much injury disrupted. And then I think the second one, the big thing for me with Nkunku was the signing of Palmer, because I don't think no one expected Palmer to do as well as he's done. And that was a bit of a nail in the Nkunku coffin. It was like halfway in. And then the signing of Felix, that fully nailed it in. And now you've just got a player who doesn't want to be. You've got a player who, wherever you put him on the pitch, he's just mentally he's checked out, in my opinion. And it goes down as probably from expectation to reality, goes down as one of the most disappointing signings in a long, long time. It almost feels like we've been catfished.
Oh, catfished.
Yeah, you see you're on the dating app, you see a decent profile, it turns up and it's nothing like what you thought you matched up with. This is the same thing. I
think Mudryk has got to be the worst catfish we've had so far.
Do you know what though? Mudryk's was actually the worst thing about the whole Mudryk thing is he was actually improving this season. He was improving, and I think a lot of us can agree we have actually missed him. And that profile, and that's something different from the bench. That's been missing this season. But yeah, look, Nkunku, it's not happened. Get what you can in the summer and try not to make these sorts of mistakes again.
So what are we getting for him, Charlie? I mean, I agree with one of the comments here saying about 35 million for Nkunku. I think that's genuinely a good valuation for a realistic price. What do you think?
Well, considering we wanted 65 million in January, that's going to have to come down a little bit. If he finishes the season well, and it would have to be very, very well, then you could get your money back on him. But I think realistically, you're looking at around 40 million pounds all in on him.
Yeah, 35, 40 mil. I'm with you on that. So that is, and also it frees up about 180,000, I think.
Yeah, he's on. I mean, not like obviously it's big wages, but not it's towards the top end of the earners at the club, 100%.
So okay, so we've got Sterling. So we've said about 15 mil for Sterling, but we take 10. Ben Chilwell about 15 million again. Felix, honestly, I take
I think the most likely scenario for Felix is he just goes on loan again.
Could be a loan.
Yeah.
And Nkunku, we say what, 35, 40 million?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we move on to Disasi, who I think is doing quite well at Villa from what I've heard.
It suits him, you know, and this is the thing. Like, a lot of these players are not bad players. It's just that they don't suit what we're looking to do. They don't suit how we're playing. And so, yeah, unfortunately, yeah, they do well somewhere else. Not like that's just the way it goes. Because what I'm looking at is what you're doing for Chelsea. And if it's not working and you don't suit the system, then you move on. And Disasi's done well for Villa, you know, and that's a decent level club for a player of his quality. He suits the system. And yeah, he's done well. He has done well. So yeah, fair play. I mean, what do we pay for him? We paid almost 40 million quid for him a couple of years ago.
So, yeah, about 40.
I suspect, again, similar region, maybe 25, 30 you're looking at.
And we got what do we get? 4 million on the loan deal as well. So even if it's 25, it's 29.
So maybe, to be honest, you might if he does end up going to Villa on a permanent, then that might come into the negotiations. The 4 mil might come off the price that they've already, you know, they've paid for the loan fee potential. I don't know, but yeah, you're looking at around 25, 30 tops. I think you're looking at more of 25 million.
What do you think that Emery's doing that Maresca, you know, didn't do that's getting the best out of Disasi?
It's not even like what he's doing. Just the system suits him.
Right.
It's as simple as that. The way of playing suits him. And yeah, he's not a bad defender, but you know, his football's it's system based, and he suits that system well. And yeah, that's kind of it really.
I saw Disasi playing as a right back for Aston Villa against Brentford.
Yeah, he did. He was man of the match as well.
He was great. He was so good. So people were saying like, oh, he was playing as a right back for us, but he's been a good right back for Aston Villa. So,
and I also think probably as well, I don't know, Aston Villa is a massive football club, but there's less. Well, there's still pressure, but there's less pressure than playing for Chelsea, I would say.
It seems like there's an excitement around Aston Villa, whereas Chelsea, there's almost this dread. It's like, oh my god, we've got to play these guys. Like, we have to win.
Maybe other fan bases are more patient. I don't know, because I'm obviously not as involved with other fan bases, but maybe they're more patient with players. I don't know, but yeah, look, 25 million for Disasi, I think is fair, and obviously, yeah, he's 100% leaving in the summer, and yeah, I'd expect Villa to go in for him.
How old is he? He's 27. Yeah.
27.
So he doesn't fit the project in that sense. He's too old. He's too old for us. Okay, so we say about 25, 30 million for Disasi then, yeah?
Yeah, I'd say looking at more 25, yeah.
What about Kepa?
Well, it's 5 million release clause. That's all.
Is it a 5 million release clause?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Because he's only got 1 year left on his contract. He had to sign a new contract because you can't loan someone out for the final year of their deal.
Huh.
So yeah, Kepa, Bournemouth obviously interested. Maybe other teams are interested. I don't know, but yeah, you get 5 mil and you move on. But the biggest thing with Kepa is getting those wages off the books. Yeah,
5 million. I was saying earlier that 10 million would be a fair price. So I look like a right mug now because it was always going to be 5 anyway.
Well, yeah. Well, you know, that sometimes happens, mate.
Oh God, fair enough. Oh, I didn't know that, mate. He's 30 years old, yeah, and to be fair, like nobody's ever really liked Kepa, if we're being honest. Like nobody's ever been convinced by him.
He started well, and then it kind of.
Sorry, mate. He was one of the lowest performing goalkeepers in the league. Like I think his stats were only just above Huddersfield's goalkeeper in his first season in terms of the amount of saves he makes compared to the amount of shots he receives and all this stuff. But I mean, he's not. I'm not going to sit here and say he's been a terrible goalkeeper, but I always found Kepa quite underwhelming.
Yeah, I mean, for the money paid, we didn't get value for money. Let's put it that way.
And then how much did we sell Courtois for? 35 million to Madrid?
No, I don't know how much he went for.
Nothing, like barely anything.
But to be fair, again, with Kepa, it was release clause because all Spanish players, all La Liga players got release clauses in the contract. So that's not really his actual market value, but we wanted him, so we paid that money.
So do they have to have a release clause?
Yeah, all Spanish players, everyone in La Liga has got a release clause in their contract. I mean, some of them are ridiculous, like €1 billion.
Yeah, like €1 billion. Yeah, I've seen that.
But yeah, every player in La Liga has got a release clause.
Okay. Then we look at Amanda Broja, who, I mean, the last time I remember seeing Broja,
mate, he played for Albania on Friday night. He was at Wembley.
Oh yeah, no, he did. He came off the bench, didn't he?
Yeah, but I mean, he's on loan at Everton, but he's. To be honest, mate, I couldn't tell you how many times he's played for them. I think he's barely played.
Mate, I think he had injury.
He's just been injured. I think he basically arrived injured, and then I think he played a few games, and he was injured again, and maybe he's back fit again now. But I think he's barely played. I mean, when he was close to joining Ipswich, that was like if they stayed up, it would have been a £30 million obligation to buy. You're absolutely, given how little football he's played, you're not getting anywhere near that. I think you're looking at 15. 10. If you get 10 or 15 million for Broja, given how little football he's played, I think you just have to take it.
The guy's barely played any football, mate. I'm looking this season. He's played 6 games in the. Oh God, is that all time? No. It's not. No, that's not all time. That's got to be this season, right? 6 games in the Prem.
Yeah.
One game in the FA Cup.
That's this season.
So he's played 169 minutes of football.
Yeah, he's played fuck all, mate. He's literally played 7 games this season.
So you can't justify getting rid of him for that.
No, he's done nothing. He hasn't scored.
And we're going to ask for 30 again. I know.
No chance. You get 15.
We're deluded, though, aren't we? I mean, the fact that we asked Nkunku for 70, I thought.
At best, you get 15 million tops, but that's going to require him to have a decent end to the season.
Fair.
I mean, I wouldn't even rule out another loan.
Yeah, I mean that's one way of just getting fees that add up eventually. You see them on loan 3 times for, let's just say 3 years, 3 loans, 3 million a loan. It's like, okay, there's 9 million quid. See if you can sell him for 10, and you've made 92 million. Yeah. So I mean that might be the model there as well. I'm not entirely sure. Okay, so we'll go with that. Chukwuemeka, what do you think about him, mate?
Well, his release clause only 40 mil. So
you think it's really going to happen though? Because I don't think they're paying 40 million.
No, I honestly thought that this loan to Dortmund for Chukwuemeka would be great, perfect fit. Dortmund's a club that gives young players opportunities, but again, he's had fitness issues again, and he's not played very much. And you can guarantee, by the way, Dortmund's struggling in the Bundesliga. Dortmund are not going to buy him on a permanent basis if they don't get European football. And
they need Champions League.
They need Champions League, or Europa League bare minimum, but they need Champions League really if they're going to get him. And I don't think Chukwuemeka's not done anywhere near enough to attract interest from any other teams to make them think it's a good idea to pay 40 mil for him. The guy just cannot stay fit. I mean, how many games has he played for Dortmund? I think he's barely played 3
games. And then he plays 2 in the Champions League for them, but that was off the bench. So
it's just crap, isn't it? I mean, obviously he's not doing it he's not getting injured on purpose, but like it's just no good, is it? Really, the whole point for this loan was if he does well, Dortmund might buy him permanently or attract other clubs to buy him.
I think the thing is as well, when you're selling these players, like. I'm not going to imagine I'm in the sporting director's shoes, but you want to basically have like, what can we use to sell this player? Oh, he scored loads of goals. He's been available, blah, blah, blah. He's got loads of potential. Like a lot of the players that we've mentioned, Sterling has no potential. Ben Chilwell doesn't have potential. Joao Felix has been going downwards. Christopher Nkunku's not going to get any better than he has been. In that regard. Older, Kepa's going downhill. Broja's constantly injured. Like these aren't actually players that you'd say are easy to sell.
No, they're not.
Prices.
I mean, Chukwuemeka's played 62 minutes for Dortmund. It's just, I mean, look, even if he can't sell these guys permanently, you can, as you said, you can still probably for 3 players, you could probably rake in 15 million quid. in loan fees, which again still contributes, by the way. But yeah, I would be very, very surprised if anyone activates Chukwuemeka's release clause this summer. He just hasn't done enough. He's barely kicked a ball for him, and the season's almost done.
I don't think he's getting sold. I think he's going to have another loan.
I think he'll have to, because Chelsea. I don't think Chelsea will accept below the release clause because there is potential there. But ultimately, Chukwuemeka's got to prove he can stay fit. Why would anyone sign Chukwuemeka when he can't even stay, when he's not proven he can stay fit?
Yeah, I think maybe an English loan might be a good way to go.
Yeah,
I think
maybe.
Any Premier League loan. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Even Everton, to be fair, it seems like that
might be all right. I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's tricky, isn't it? But he's just, the biggest thing for him is he's just got to stay fit. I actually don't even think it, to a certain degree, I don't think it matters what club he's at. Just stay fit and play.
What about Renato Vega? What's your thoughts on him? I know he's injured, if I'm not wrong, at the moment.
I mean, I like him. He's done well at Juventus. He wants to be a centre back though, which is interesting because we've got a lot of centre backs on the books right now, and we're probably going to sign another one this summer. So you're kind of thinking, well, if Vega wants to be a centre back, it's quite hard to see where he fits in at Chelsea as a centre back and gets the regular minutes that he wants to make the Portugal squad for the 2026 World Cup, because Portugal use him as a centre back. So look, I think Vega's a talented boy. I think there's potential there, and I wouldn't mind keeping him. But again, he left because he wanted to play regular minutes at centre back. Can I see him getting those regular minutes at centre back at Chelsea? The ones that enough minutes to satisfy him? I can't see that. So for that reason, I would say he probably moves on in the summer purely based on the fact that we can't give him the minutes that he would want at centre back.
And you have to admit there's great profit there as well. You could probably double your money.
Yeah, of course there is, yeah. But I mean, you look at the centre backs, you've got Chilwell, Fofana, Badiashile, Disasi,
Tosin,
that Mamadou Sarr's come in.
Anselmino,
Strasbourg, Anselmino. You've got 8 centre backs on the books, right? Let's get rid of the Disasi, so that's down to 7. Even if they sold Badiashile as well, that's still 6. If you loan out Anselmino and Sarr, that's 4. And then maybe Vega could be the 5th one, but would he be a first rotation? I don't know. There could potentially be enough minutes, maybe, but I'd like to keep him. But ultimately, it's going to be down to Vega. He's not going to be a first choice centre back at Chelsea, so it's up to him really.
I mean, he's played a couple of games in the Champions League. He's barely played for Chelsea. Obviously, he's a regular in the Conference League, and he played a couple of the Cup games as well. But he wants more, and you can't blame him for that. You cannot blame him. He's a young player.
It's tricky.
And I think that the temptations of not being able to play for your international team because you're at Chelsea, like I can actually understand Vega, whereas I don't understand Felix and these other guys, because I think, fucking hell, mate, you're not even that good. But with Vega, I say, do you know what, mate? I can respect if he wanted to leave Chelsea based on the fact that other teams want him anyway, and the Portuguese manager has advised him to play those minutes at centre back. Like, he's clearly having those discussions, so I can appreciate that. Looking at David Datro Fofana as well, mate. Like, we haven't seen him for a long time.
He's injured.
Yeah,
I mean that's why I was recalled from his loan, because he's out for the rest of the season. So, I've got absolutely no idea what sort of form he's in. I don't know what form he was in before he got injured. He was on loan in Turkey somewhere, I think it was. I think maybe he scored a couple of goals, but not really doing anything special. I think we signed him for about 10 million quid, maybe. If you can get that again, great. But he's not going to be here next season.
Let's have a look at a player that's been talked about a lot. We always thought that Dewsbury Hall was going to be like just integrated into the first team. I always thought he was actually going to play more as a starter, just because Maresca loved him and whatnot. But it doesn't even seem like Maresca trusts Dewsbury Hall, a player he trusted so much last season. I mean, it's inevitable that if he can be moved on, he will.
Oh, 100%.
Then you got to look at what we paid for him, which was what, 30 million?
30 million, yeah.
I mean, are we getting that?
No, we're not getting that. It's as simple as that. We're not getting that. Maybe you get 20.
I think 20 is a bargain for anyone who gets that, to be fair. I think
You get him for 20. I also wouldn't rule him out going on loan, to be honest. Again, it's a possibility. Loan with an option or loan with an obligation, maybe. But again, to spend 30 million quid on someone when they played 9 games in the Prem.
But they're not. He didn't even start like any of those games.
Started one Premier League game. He started.
Yeah.
It's just a really odd signing. It's nothing against him because, of course, if you're in his position, you take the move. But to spend 30 million quid on a player, and they're going to basically probably not even make. They're probably going to start. Well, yeah, 1 Premier League game in the whole season.
I have to admit that there is a part of me that wants to see him have a real run of games against good teams.
I wouldn't mind it.
Although we've criticised him heavily, there is a part of me that says, you know what? He's got to have something. And like with any player, Charlie, any profession, like you don't get any rhythm if you don't have confidence.
No.
And if you're not given the nod by the manager, or it's not even about words, mate. It's just about starts. If you're not given the opportunity to go out and prove yourself consistently, then you can't build on any good performance.
But where do you play him?
Well, you don't. I mean, he's not better than what we have. But I'm just saying that there's that part of me that's curious, and I just think, oh, what if we did play him? But I can't justify playing him ahead of Fernandes or Caicedo. I mean, that would be ludicrous.
I mean, you could make a case for playing him in like their left number 10 position instead of Nkunku. Maybe he might give you more. I don't know, but yeah, simple as that, mate. Is the guy? The signing just made no sense in the first place. So yeah, he'll be gone. He'll be gone in the summer. I suspect. Well, maybe I'd say a loan is more likely. But yeah, if we can get 20-25 million pounds, probably more like 20, then yeah, fair enough. Take it and you move on. You just try not to make those mistakes again.
Badiashile, mate, he's the one we finish up on. He's the last player on this fire sale list. I personally,
I still quite like him.
I fell out with Badiashile in pre-season, mate. When do you remember when we conceded that silly goal?
Yeah, it was a bit lazy. It was. The thing is though, like with Badiashile, part of me, I'm still invested in him. Like a bit of me still invested in him. Just like because there is ability there and there is talent there.
He has moments. Do you remember when he come on against Liverpool?
Yeah, and also in fairness, mate, against Arsenal, he was actually all right. I don't think he particularly had a bad game at the Emirates. So there is some ability there. We haven't seen it on anywhere near a consistent enough basis. He's obviously been injured for a part of this season. It would be a shame to see him go because I think there's a top centre back there, and he'll probably go and realise his potential somewhere else. But yeah, I think you look at it. How much did we pay for him? Probably, I don't know how much we paid for him. 25 million, was it? I actually can't. Or maybe 32 million or something like that.
About 30 for him, 30 odd. Slightly less than the Sassy.
Yeah, it was a little bit less than the Sassy. Yeah, it hasn't really worked out for him. What really did it for him was the long injury he suffered at the end of that season that he arrived in the January. That 22-23 season picked up a long-term injury at the end of that season. And then last season under Poch, when he was coming back trying to get himself fit, was in and out the team, and he was making so many errors.
I don't think Poch was the right guy for Badiashile, mate. I think Badiashile needs a manager with a very stable playing style, and I think Maresca's good in that respect, and Potter was as well, actually.
Yeah, but look, I think there's good potential still in him. I wouldn't mind having him as a squad player, to be honest. If he was a third or fourth choice centre back, I don't think that would be a major issue. So. I mean, if he stays, I haven't got an issue with it. But I suppose if he goes, I'll be a little bit disappointed. But I'm not exactly going to lose.
Basically, what you paid for him.
Yeah, I think maybe you get what you paid for him. Yeah, I wouldn't be that disappointed if he went, but I wouldn't be against him staying for a squad role.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens. Well, listen, we've got over 75 of you in the building. Smash the like button. Let's get up to 75 likes on the video. Appreciate all your support, guys. Every little helps. And subscribe to Charlie's channel as well. He's the Blue Brother. So check out his channel if you want to see more Chelsea content. We're going to wrap it up there, guys. So thank you for jumping on. Appreciate your time as well, Charlie. Thanks for coming on, mate.
All good, mate. All good.
And yeah, we'll be back with another show tomorrow at 1 o'clock. So all the best, guys, and enjoy the rest of your Sunday.